In this video tutorial, we're going to add a background image to our banner to replace the H1 text that we put in an earlier lesson. And we're also going to add a background gradient to the body of our page. So in the previous lesson, we created our banner background and a gradient background for our web page. And to add those to our web page, all we do is we click inside the banner area, the top part of our web page, and we're going to go over to the CSS Styles panel in Dreamweaver, and we're going to click on the new CSS rule. So the small icon, once again, with the plus sign on it, the new CSS rule. Click on that. And we're going to go to the pop-up menu here and choose ID to add a rule to the banner. So you should see ID and then banner. If you don't see banner down here, you can go ahead and type it in and make sure that it's lowercase banner to match the name of the actual table that you created up here, as we did in the earlier lesson. So we're applying a rule to the banner table in our page, and that is an ID type of rule. And we're going to click OK. And all we're going to do is we're going to go to background, click on background, and where it says background image, we're going to click browse. And if you've saved your file, your banner graphic, into the images folder, you should be able to navigate to your images folder inside your root folder and choose banner BGD that we created. This is my banner background PNG file, and I click open. And to make sure that it actually found that image and it's going to apply it into the right element, which is the banner, I'm simply going to click apply. And I can see that it's right there in the background behind my H1 text. And that's fine, except it's not really big enough to show my whole graphic that I worked so hard on. So I'm going to go over to the category over here in the CSS rule definition area and choose box from the category area. And I'm going to click on box, and I'm going to go to height, and I'm going to type in 150 pixels and click apply. And you can see that gives me enough room there to see my feathered image graphic with the text on top. Maybe I'm actually going to give it a couple, 10 more pixels, 160, so I can see the bottom of the image as well, so I can see where the feathering comes off. So I've opened this up just big enough, and yours will likely be different in terms of the graphic that you're using. You're probably not going to be using a graphic of the Sydney Harbour Bridge, but this is enough for me, and that gives me enough room to see the graphic that I've created. And so when I'm done with that, I can click OK. And then the other thing I want to do is I want to change the background image of my web page and have it show the gradient for the body style for my web page. And you're saying to yourself right now, probably, wait a minute, what about the H1 text that we've got up there that's still sitting there in the banner? Shouldn't we just delete that? Well, we could. We could just go ahead and delete that. However, if we do delete it, then we lose the only H1 element that we have, or the only H1 tag that we have on our web page. And you may remember in our discussion when we added this text that I said that H1 is not just about making this text larger, but H1 is the most important text on the page because this is what web search engines return when they match your website. So this text is actually very important. And we refer to this as to keeping this text but somehow hiding it. We refer to this as maintaining semantic integrity, or the semantic HTML, if you like, of the website. So when we replace important text and tags in particular with graphics, we need to somehow keep them there but hide them from the CSS. And to do that, we're going to simply highlight the H1 element again in our banner, and we're going to actually we don't need to highlight it. We can go right over to the rule that we use to create it, which is banner trtdh1. And if we open up that rule again, so we notice how I opened it. I simply double clicked on the rule in the CSS styles panel, and it opened up here. And here is my rule. So this is Georgia Times New Roman, 36 pixels, in this deep red color. So if I go over to where it says block, the block category, and I click on that, you'll notice at the very bottom of the block category there's a display pop-up menu, and we want to locate that display pop-up menu. Click on it, and the very top option is none. So we simply click on none, click apply, and now the H1 disappears from our view. But it's still there, and if you were to display this page without the attached style sheet, you would see that our page still has semantic integrity, if you like, and so the semantics, the actual elements, the tags are still there. It's just when we're using our style sheet and our graphics to make it look the way we want it to look, we are hiding that tag so as not to confuse the user and make the page look bad. So click OK. And so that's text replacement, how we replace the text on our page. Now we can move on to adding the gradient to our body. And to do that, we simply double click on the body rule that we created in our previous lesson. So we go over here, double click on body, and then we're going to go to background, click on background, and where we have this blue color for the background located, we're going to click on that and go over to this little white box with the diagonal black line across it to select default color, which is white. Click apply. So now we're back to our white background. But then what we're going to do is add this gradient that we created, that little 20 pixel swatch. So we're going to go to background image, click browse, locate the images folder, gradient background, choose that, and click open. And then the trick to this process is to use something called background repeat. And we're going to click on this background repeat pop-up menu and choose repeat X. And of course X is the horizontal axis of our page and Y is the vertical axis. So we're going to repeat that little 20 pixel swatch all the way across the X-axis or across the entire page. Choose that and click apply. And so now you can see the gradient has been repeated across the page, but it runs out of space about 500 pixels down the page here. How do we fix that? Well, we can fix that by simply going to background color again, clicking on the background color, and you get this little eyedropper tool once again, color picker. Go down to the very bottom of your background gradient on your page that you created and choose that color and click apply. And now that color has been extended all the way down the bottom of your page, and so you've got a white, the white top of the gradient, wrapping around your feathered graphic, and then gradually transitioning to a color for the rest of the page down here. Click OK. And so while this may not be what you have for your page or what you want for your page, at least I've shown you a couple of techniques here for adding a banner graphic background, text replacement, and using the repeat X style to repeat a small image across your page.